Hello, my name is Ari Waldman. I'm a person who stutters. Today is Wednesday, November 4th, 2020, the 17th day of the Jewish month of Mar Cheshvan. From Chabad.org, daily study, daily Tanya, Igeret HaKodesh, beginning of Epistle 28, Wednesday, the 17th of Cheshvan, 5781, November 4th, 2020. This is my video Tanya, day 24, on YouTube. My name is Ari Waldman. I'm a person who stutters. Here goes. Igeret HaKodesh, beginning of Epistle 28. In the previous epistle, written to console the Hasidic Brotherhood after the passing of the saintly Rav Mendele Vitebsker, the Alter Rebbe quotes from the Zohar to the effect that a tzaddik is even more accessible in this world after his passing than while he was still alive. Moreover, after his passing, his Hasidism continue to receive from him both spiritual benefactions which enhance their Torah study and divine service, and protection in material matters. Following that epistle, the original editors placed the present discourse, which the Alter Rebbe wrote by way of consolation to his illustrious colleague, relative by marriage, and dear friend, Rav Levi Yitzchak Bardichev. Following the tragic passing of his son, here the Alter Rebbe explains how the passing of a tzaddik affects salvations in the midst of the earth, atoning even for intentional sins. Ma shekatav b'mechotenu harav hagaon hamiforseim ish Elokim kadosh Hashem. Ner Yisrael Amud Hayemini Patish HaChazak. This letter was written by the Alter Rebbe to his relative by marriage, the famous Rabbi and Gaon, the godly man, the holy man of God, lamp of Israel, pillar of the right hand, mighty hammer. Morenu Harav Levi Yitzchak Nishmato Eden Av Beit Din Dikahala Kedosha Be'ar Ditu Tashuv. Our master Rav Levi Yitzchak, may his soul rest in Eden, head of the rabbinical court of the holy community of Berdichev, Lenachamo al Petirat Beno, Harav HaChasid, Morenu v'Rabbeinu Harav Meir Nishmato Eden, to console him on the passing of his son, the pious Rabbi Rav Meir, may his soul rest in Eden. Lama Nismacha Parshat Miriam leParshat Para. Why was the passage concerning the passing of Miriam adjoined to the passage concerning the red heifer? Lomar lach mapara mikaperet v'kule. To teach you that just as the heifer affects atonements, so too does the passing of the righteous. Commenting on this quotation from the Gemara, Tosfot explains that the red heifer atones for the sin of the golden calf, and in the same way, the passing of the righteous affects atonement. V'tzarich lahavin lama nismacha davka para aduma. Now it needs to be understood why the passage concerning the passing of Miriam was joined specifically to the passage concerning the red heifer. Han na'aseh chutz l'shlosh machanot, ela dechata'at kriyat rachamana, which was prepared outside the three camps, and as such was not a sacrifice proper, except that the Torah calls it a sin offering. V'lo nismacha leparshat chatat hana'aseh befanim al gabe hamizbeach bepara mamash. And it was not adjoined to the passage concerning the sin offering that was prepared within, on the altar, and as such, actual atonement. Alternatively, Hebrew text could be understood to mean on the actual altar of atonement, or preferably that the sin offering was actual atonement, unlike the red heifer, which was primarily a rite of purification. To revert to the question concerning the juxtaposition of the two passages, the Alter Rebbe explains that an offering connoted an arousal from below, drawing down a finite order of divine light that can permeate the finite world and be integrated and ingested within it. The characteristic explains why offerings are referred to as the food of the altar. Being finite, this contracted order of divine light was only able to effect atonement of unwitting sins, those that derive from undue domination by the animal soul, which derives from klipa noga. The red heifer, by contrast, produces the sanctifying purification waters kiddush mechatat, i.e., it draws down an illumination from the most supremely sanctified levels of divinity, Kodesh HaElyon, that utterly transcends this world. This intense illumination can transform the darkness of Tohu into the light of Tikkun and secure purification for even the harshest degree of impurity, Avi Avot Hatuma, which is far lower than Klipat Noga. In the same way, the passing of a tzaddik draws down a divine illumination that transcends the world, deriving, as it does, from the element within the 13 attributes of mercy, which is called the Tikkun of Notzer. The name of this Tikkun, which comprises the same letters as Ratzon, brings about an 8 Ratzon at auspicious time and secures atonement for the sins of the generation, even those that are committed willfully and that derive from the three completely impure klipot. In this regard, the passing of a tzaddik, thus more akin to the red heifer than to a sin offering. Amnam noda mizahar hakadosh v'harizal sod ha-karbanot sha'al gabe hamizbech. Now, the mystical principle of the sacrifices offered on the altar is known for the sacred Zohar and for Rav Isaac Luria of blessed memory. Hein bechinat ha-ilat miyayin nokevin minefesh habe hemayat shebe noga. They are an instance of the elevation of Mayan Nukvin, literally feminine waters, i.e., a mortally initiated spiritual arousal derived from the animal soul, which receives its life force from Klipat Noga. El Arshan Umikorin. El Sharshan Umikorin. This elevation ascending to their root and source, Hein Bechinat Dalid Chiot, She b'merkava, shebemerkava hanosot et hakise, i.e., the forms of the four animals of the celestial chariot which bears the throne, as described in Ezekiel chapter 1, Pnei Shor, Pnei Nesher, Vikule, the face of the ox and the face of the eagle, and so on. The former level of divinity is the source of the souls of all animals. The latter is the source of the souls of all birds, these being the two categories of creatures from which offerings are brought. The other two categories, the face of the lion and the face of man, are alluded to in this closing phrase, and so on. Offerings thus constitute an elevation and an arousal from below, from a willing recipient toward the level of divinity, here called four animals of the chariot, which is the source of all things within the finite world, and which hence has a connection within it. V'al yedei zeh nim shachim v'yardim miyayin dochrin mibchinat adam sha'al hakise hanikra mileka v'zayir anpin. As a result, reciprocating this arousal, the Mayin Duchrin, the male waters from the benefactor above, are elicited and descend from the level of divinity called in Ezekiel the man upon the throne, who is also referred to as Malka, king, and Zeir Anpin, i.e., the bracket of 6 masculine attributes preceding the recipient or feminine sephira of Malchut. The resultant illumination flows down. The resultant illumination flows down to the world and becomes vested and integrated within it. Hence, as mentioned above, offerings are termed food for the altar, for they draw down a level of divine light which can be spiritually ingested. Achen b'srifat hapara aduma hine al yedei ha shlichat eitz eretz ve'ezov v'kule. As for the burning of the red heifer, however, it is on account of the throwing in of the cedar wood and the hyssop, and so on. The function of both, which is hamshacha, i.e., drawing down sanctity from above. V'nitinat mayim chayim al ha'ofer. And moreover, the placing of running water into the ashes, nikra b'shem kiddush mei chatat b'mishnah. That in the Mishnah, this process is called sanctification kiddush of the purifying waters. V'hi b'chinat kiddush ha'elyon hanikra b'shem tala de bidolcha. This relates not only etymologically to kodesh ha'elyon, the supreme sanctity, referred to as tala de bedulcha, literally the dew of bidilium, siaf, the Torah's description of the manna, unlike the heavenly benefactions that are termed rain, for rain results from and arousal from below, as it is written. And a vapor rose from the ground and watered. The above described dew is a spontaneous arousal from above that transcends dependence on any antecedent arousal from below. Kamo shekatu bezohar, hakadosh shahaya bechinat chachma ila'a, umocha stima'a, the arich anpin. As stated in the sacred Zohar, this tala di bidulcha is an expression of the supreme chokhmah, and the mocha setima of arich anpin, i.e., it is the level of chokhmah within keter, which entirely transcends the world. Viala itamar biduchati tova bezohar hakadosh bechokhmah it barito. Of this level of chokhmah and mocha setima, it is said in many places in the sacred Zohar, through chokhmah are refined and rectified, vit hafacha chashucha linahora tahayinu olam hatikun. And then, by means of the sanctification of the purification waters, divine light is drawn down from this level. Darkness is converted to light, that is, to the world of tikkun. Shenit borer v'nit akin al yedei mocha stima, the arich anpin, which becomes refined and rectified by means of the mocha stima of arich anpin. Me'olam ha-tohu v'shvirat ha-kelim shenaflu b'beria yitzira v'asiya v'kulei, i.e., the world of tikkun is refined and rectified from the world of tohu and the breaking of the vessels whose sparks fell into the world of beria, yitzira, and asiya, and so on. Kenoda, as is known, the spiritual task of the Jew is to extract, refine, and elevate these sparks. V'lezot mi taharat tumat chamat. This is why the red heifer purifies one from defilement contracted by contact with a corpse. Af shehu avi avot v'kule v'lamata mata minoga. Even though this corpse is the ultimate degree of impurity and far, far lower than noga, for the sanctification of the purifying waters is drawn down from the supreme chokhmah and the mocha setima of arich anpin, an illumination that transcends the world so utterly that it is able to transform the world's darkness into light. This is the end of my video, Tanya, day 24. Have a great day.